Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. Now this is a very special card. It's an anniversary card for my son. And I made his wedding invitations, and they were in black and gold with embossed gold embossing in an Art Deco style. And their anniversary is coming up at the end of May, and so I wanted to do a card that was in the same kind of color combinations as their wedding invitations were. So I'm using some of our detailed laser cut paper here, and then on the inside I have my happy anniversary and more florals cut out here. So I thought I would share this with you and show you another way that you can use this die cut paper here. So what we need to do that is I have a black base here that is 8.5 by 5.5, or 8 1/4 by 5.5, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4 that I'm going to burnish here. Then I have a piece of black, and this piece of black I need to cut out this little frame here. So I think this one is probably 4 1/4 by 5.5. It's kind of a quarter panel, and you just need one big enough so that you can cut out this frame here. Then we need, let's see, in the gold, I need a piece that is 5 by 4 1/4 for a layering piece here on the front. Then this will make our frame. Then, let's see, I need another piece of gold for the inside for this piece. And let's see, let me check my notes here. That piece of gold is 2 3/4. Can't remember which one is which. Anyway, for the gold you need a piece that is 2 3/4 by 5 1/8, and then you need one that's 2 1/4 by 5. And the one for 2 1/4 by 5 is to cut out this piece here. And let's see, what else do we need? I used a piece of Shimmer White, and because it has the kind of gold flecks in it, and I thought that would go well on the inside. And my Shimmer White piece is 3 5/8 by 2 5/8, as I wanted plenty of room to show off these pretty little flowers over to the side. And I'm probably going to turn them around on this card. That's, oh, and a piece of window sheet. And my piece of window sheet is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4, and that is going to go over my laser cut paper after we have embossed it. And then, let's see, then we need a piece of laser cut paper, and what I did was I took my big sheet of laser cut and I just cut out a section that was more than enough that I needed for here. I cut this out, I think, a little over 4 inches, maybe 4 1/4. Yeah, 4 1/4, and sliced up, and it's about 6 inches coming this way, which is more than you need. But the way that this paper cuts, when you go to cut it, sometimes that certain pieces cut away that you might not necessarily want to. So you want to be able to have a big enough piece that you can get the piece that you want out of this. So let's just get started. And I know it looks terribly complicated, and it really is not. So what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of pieces of scrap paper here. And the first thing I'm going to do is lay my paper down. And I'm not going to use my embossing buddy because I'm going to cover the whole thing with gold embossing powder. And what I did was I just took my Versamark pad here and I covered all of the flower pieces here in Versamark. I've seen people do some really fun things too, where they've used sponges and color and taped it down so that it didn't move. And so they got different colors on here. And then when you lift it up, you've got the negative space covered with color. And I may do one of those as well, maybe next week, to show that, because we need more ways to use this paper. Okay, so I am really putting a lot of Versamark on here, but that's on purpose. And then I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to flip it around and put that Versamark that is in between the spaces on the inside, because I really don't want to get any Versamark on anything else that's going to stick. So, all right, the next thing I'm doing is taking another piece of scratch paper here, and I'm going to fold that the other way here. And I'm going to take my piece that's been Versamarked here, and then I've got my gold powder here and a spoon, and I'm just going to cover this whole piece with gold powder. Making sure that I've got all of the pieces. The thing is on this, that if you happen to miss something, you can always go back and redo it. Okay, so there I've got plenty of gold powder, and I'm going to use, oops, I see a spot that doesn't have as much. There we go. And then I'm going to use my tweezers here, and I don't mind grabbing this end along here because that's going to end up being cut off. So I'm just going to grab that and shake the powder loose and lay it on this other piece that I have here, and put this gold powder back into my container here. Okay, now I'm going to bring this piece over, and you can see I've got pretty good coverage on this entire piece, and I'm going to quiet the video while I emboss this piece of laser cut paper. Okay, so now we've got this piece completely covered, and part of the reason I put some window sheet over this is I wanted to continue having something shiny here over the paper, and this is going to be challenging to get adhesive on, and so I thought that the window sheet would help hold the piece in place. So I've got a lot of gluing to do here, so I'm going to set that aside for the moment. Out of my piece of black, what I've already done is cut my piece here, and I used the frame dies, the rectangle stitch frame dies, and what I did was I used the second largest one and then the third largest one to get the size frame that I wanted here. So this is just going to get punched out. You end up with this piece in the middle that is cut out with the stitching on it, and I saved that because I can use it for something else. And the same thing with this outer piece. It's got some inner stitching. And then here we have our frame. So let me take that apart here. And okay, so there we have our frame cut to go around our piece here. So as we're doing this, we're going to just sort of see where it is the best place is to get a nice focal piece. This flower is beautiful, and I think I can cut that so that if I leave this piece attached, maybe if I leave these two pieces attached, I can get that behind here and lose a minimal amount around the side. So I'll probably do that. Then the other piece that I cut was my long thin piece of gold, and I ran that through the die cut machine here. I'm just going to use this piece to kind of take out, and I don't want to use my die brush on this because I don't want to mar the gold. I suppose I could try doing that from the back, but it seems just as easy to take a second and poke these pieces out. This piece is very interesting. This is part of the Lovely Flowers edgelets. That is part of one of those Valentine suites at the beginning. And the way this die is built, let me thread that so you can see it. And this has got little pieces of gold paper still stuck in it. But I think you can see there that some of it actually cuts out and some of it just embosses an image in there. And that is what these edges are. So there's some embossed edges and some cut edges. So, and the pieces just come right out. Do it with my fingernail, but I want to make sure I get them all here. So I'm just going to take a second and do that. And there's little pieces, and you kind of got to take a real close look, start at one end and work your way across so that you don't miss any. And if I do that, then I can make sure I get all of the pieces out. Coming across. There's this piece that comes away, and I'm just going to tear that on this side. And then continue to poke out as I work my way across the piece. Here, I think I've got all of those. There's one. And there. And I think I have got all of them out. Now, let me get rid of that stuff and get rid of this piece. And then on this piece, for this one, I had the flowers extending out this way. And for this one, I don't know. I still like that whole piece showing. And what I did for this piece is I fussy cut out this end. And I'm going to do that again so that I have maximum choice here. And again, I'll speed up the video so this isn't quite so tedious. So there we have our piece cut out. And this will decide exactly how we're going to put it on the piece here in a second. So that die cut is done. That's all done. And I have one more little bit of embossing to do. I used, let's see, from the Beautiful Bouquet, there was a lovely little happy anniversary stamp here that I have mounted. And I'm going to go ahead and emboss that across the top of this piece, again using my Versamark. And this is photopolymer, so I am going to put my Pierce mat underneath that. So I have this pretty happy anniversary, and it's got a nice font, and it looked like it kind of matched everything here. So I'm going to set that down, and I'm going to bring back my gold embossing powder here and stick this into here. And I'm going to have to use a brush to get some of this excess powder off of here. There we go, that's a little better. It looks like it wants to stick to this paper. And I really don't want it to. Okay, and again, I'll quiet the video while I emboss these little sentiment here. So there I've got my happy anniversary, and when that dries, I'm going to brush off any excess powder a little bit more vigorously. All right, so now I think we are at the point that we can start putting this together. And what I'm going to do is take a minute and put some glue on the back of this piece down in this corner here to fit onto my card, and I will speed the video up so again it's not quite so tedious. So I think I've got my glue down on all of the places that I need it. And then I need to have a piece of black underneath this that is roughly, actually, yeah, that is roughly this size. And I just realized that I didn't cut one for this. So I'm going to cut this piece very quickly here before my glue gets dried here. And this piece was 3 1/4 by 4 5/8. So let me get my black piece here. 3 1/4, and I'm going to make it just slightly shorter than that by 4 5/8, and again just back a smidge. Okay, all right. So now this piece is going to go right down on top of here. And hopefully that's going to stick down well enough, and I think it's going to work. And then what I'm going to do is just go along here on the edge and trim away the excess pieces of the laser cut paper. There we go. I'm sure we can find something to do with this other already embossed laser cut paper. Maybe cut out a flower here or there and put it on another card. So I'm going to set that aside. Now then, I've got my piece of window sheet, and what I'm going to do is place that right over the top of this, and that's going to capture and hold that shut tight. And I'm going to do that by using my liquid glue again and just barely going around the outside edge of my window sheet here. And like I said, this card looks very complicated, and it's got a piece or two that are a little fiddly, but by and large, it's really not that difficult to do. So here we go. Let me get my pieces of extraneous stuff off my card here and lay this piece of window sheet down right over the top of this and get that glued into place. And now this piece, which is our frame, is going to go on the front of here and frame that nicely and hide all of our glue and all of our other pieces. So now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue on my frame here so I can put lots of it to hold this, and I know right where to put it so that I don't accidentally put somewhere it's going to show outside the window sheet. So plenty of glue here And then I'm going to put this piece in place over the top of my window sheet piece, and should be doing this on the silicone mat, but I want to get this on the back here. Move that around so that it's on here fairly straight. And there we go. We've got our nicely framed piece for the front. So now we're going to put more of this card together. So this piece here, now that I can really wipe away that excess powder, is going to go mounted onto this piece of gold here. And for that, I'm just going to use some snail. So I'm going to put some snail on the back of this piece. I'm really pleased with the way this card has come out. It's just beautiful. And if you have an extra special occasion, this one is really fun. So I'm going to set that down so that it has the similar margins all the way around here. And get that put into place. There we go. And now we're ready to put more of our pieces together. This has got so much going on here that, well, we could raise that one on dimensionals. Maybe I will. I think this piece I'm going to put down flat, and I am just going to use my snail to do that. Okay, so this piece is going to go on the front here. And it's got a little less border on top to bottom than it does from side to side. And I think that's okay because the way the framelit cuts out, that allows this piece to be framed the right way around here. So I'm going to grab some dimensionals here, and I think I am going to raise this panel. So now I want to center this piece on here. There we go. And I decided not to put a sentiment on the front of this because it's just so pretty that way. Then the last pieces that we have to put in place are on the inside of the card to put our happy anniversary, and I'm putting it kind of over to the side and then putting the flowers down on this side. And I wonder if I shouldn't just move this all the way over and just have the flowers float here completely independently of this. See how far I can get that over, and yeah, that'll be fine. And that gives this just enough. So if you were making this and you fussy cut out your piece like this, you might want to make this little panel a tiny bit smaller. 1/8 of an inch would do it, so that this piece fits here just floating separately. And I think I like the way that looks. So first I'm going to put this piece in place. And what I did with this is I used a dot runner on the back of this and just laid down some snail. Oh, I thought I had everything poked out, but I see a little piece here that needs to come out. Sometimes you can see better from the back side what needs to come out. And so I've got one little piece there that needed to come out. And then just put a little bit of the dot runner down so that the glue kind of sticks where you want it to, not in a continuous strip, which is why I use this for more intricate kinds of things. And I think what we're going to do is lay this piece here so that the flatter side is against the flatter side of the place we're writing our sentiment, and take that right up to the edge of the card and put that in place. And then I'm just going to use snail on the back of this piece. Okay, and I'm going to tuck this as far over on this side of the card as I can without interfering in the closing of the card. And there we go. It just fits, leaving this pretty filigree out to the side here. Isn't that pretty? I'm very tickled with that. And I'm not going to add any other embellishments. I think the gold and the flowers and the laser cut and all of that is more than enough on this to embellish this card. So that's the project for the day, and I'm really pleased with the way it came out. And each one is going to be different depending on where you cut your laser paper. And you can see that embossing that laser paper wasn't that difficult. It's just a matter of being patient and making sure you get down enough of the Versamark and then the powder, and it embossed beautifully. And if you missed a spot, once it's dry, you can go back and add more Versamark and more powder to pick up any places that you've dropped. And other than being careful about cutting and where you put your glue, this is really not a challenging card at all. I was surprised. I wanted to do this, and I've wanted to do this for a while. Like I said, I had this in mind for my son for their anniversary coming up here, and I'm really pleased with the way it came out. So thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And by the time you see this, I'll be at convention. I'm going to Salt Lake City. So if you're going to be in Salt Lake City and you happen to see this, come find me. So let's see. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. It would be lovely to have more people on my team, and many of my viewers have, over time, joined my team, and that's been fun to get to know people a little differently. Let's see, my prize draw for the month is the, look it up here, and it is here it is, the Amazing Life bundle, which has this stamp set, and it comes with the rectangle stitched framelit dies that we used today. So again, that's it for me. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll be back soon with more cards and more projects. Bye.